Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we unpack sources, get right to the heart of the insights, and basically give you a shortcut to being well-informed.
And today, we are diving deep into something pretty universal. Change, healing, self-discovery.
Right, and we're doing it through a really unique lens, a therapist who unexpectedly finds herself on the other side of the couch.
Yeah, our main source today is Lori Gottlieb's fantastic book, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. It's quite the journey.
It really is. And it gets right to our big question for this deep dive. How do we actually change?
And the answer Gottlieb finds, both for herself and her patients, seems to be, well, in relation to others. We'll explore that trust, that sort of sacred space in the therapy room.
Where identities are disguised, but maybe not to hide, more to reveal what's universally human, perhaps?
Exactly. It's an invitation to look inside.
Speaking of looking inside, Carl Jung had that line, didn't he? People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Pretty stark.
But then, the flip side. Who looks inside, awakes. And Lori Gottlieb's own awakening, the one that really anchors this book, it starts with a bang, a moment that just floors her.
You mean the boyfriend incident?
That's the one. Gottlieb, remember, she's a therapist herself, experienced.
Yeah.
And she's in this long-term relationship. Things seem solid, planning to merge homes.
He was even looking into adding her son to his benefits, right? That sounds pretty committed.
Totally. All signs pointed to a future together.
And
then, bam, out of nowhere, he tells her he doesn't want a kid under his roof for the next 10 years.
wow, just like that.
Just like that. She describes her jaw literally dropping, her mind just screaming, "Whoa!"
I can imagine. A total shock to the system. Her whole reality just pulled apart.
Absolutely reeling. And her first instinct, maybe like a lot of us, wasn't a therapist.
No, she called a friend, didn't she? Allison.
Right. Her oldest friend, who gave her exactly what you'd expect from a friend in that moment.
The supportive rage. He's trash.
Yeah, exactly. Go sleep with somebody. Which is, comforting in its own way. Friends are crucial.
But they tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
Right. Reinforce your side of the story.
Precisely. And Gottlieb realized pretty quickly that wasn't quite what she needed. She needed something else.
Someone to just sit with her in the pain without trying to fix it or just validate her anger.
Exactly. A professional space. But then comes the tricky part. For a therapist to find their own therapist.
Oh, right. The whole dual relationship thing.
It's a big ethical rule. You can't treat or be treated by anyone you know professionally or socially.
So you're surrounded by therapists, but you can't actually go to any of them.
She calls it a water everywhere, nor any drop to drink kind of situation.
That sounds incredibly awkward. Just asking for a recommendation must feel weird.
Oh, definitely. She talks about that palpable hesitation from people, that unspoken question.
What's wrong? Is it your marriage?
Yeah.
Are you okay? That kind of thing.
Exactly. The stigma is real, even within the profession.
So how did she navigate that? And who did she end up choosing?
Well, she had her own biases going in, which is interesting. She found Wendell Bronson.
And she had criteria.
She did. She admitted she specifically wanted a married male therapist with kids.
Why?
She was hoping he'd sort of validate her anger, be as appalled at her ex-boyfriend's behavior as she was.
So she was kind of looking for someone to agree with her.
A little bit, yeah. Which raises that great question, doesn't it? What happens if we just find someone who tells us what we want to hear? Do we actually change?
Probably not much.
Yeah.
So, okay, she goes into her first session with Wendell, ready to just let loose.
Totally. Pours it all out. Blame, anger. She even uses her friend's armchair diagnoses for the ex-avoidant sociopath, making her case.
Laying out all the evidence for why it's entirely his fault.
And Wendell just listens calmly. But then he doesn't just agree. He asks this question.
What does he ask?
He says, "It's curious, isn't it, given what you knew about his history, that this is such a shock to you?"
Ooh, that's different. Not what she expected, I bet.
Not at all. It immediately shifts the focus, puts it back on her gently.
And wasn't there a point about pain versus suffering?
Yes, crucial. Wendell makes that distinction. He says something like, "You're not choosing the pain, the breakup itself, but you are choosing the suffering."
Not so.
By, ruminating, constantly replaying things, she admits to Google stalking her ex.
Ah, okay. So the actions we take after the painful event can prolong the suffering.
Exactly. Pain might be inevitable sometimes, but dwelling in it, feeding it, that's often a choice.
Which connects to that idea of the unreliable narrator, right?
Perfectly. Gottlieb realizes that most of us, we tell our stories from our own perspective. We're not lying, usually, but we leave out the bits that don't quite fit our narrative.
And she realized she was doing that too.
Yes. She started seeing the clues about her ex and kids that she'd sort of glossed over.
Like what?
Things like him seeming irritated around kids in public, or always finding errands to run instead of going to her son's games.
Small things maybe, but they add up.
Right. And knowing about his ex-wife's fertility struggles, or even his brother-in-law having to stay in a hotel because of his kids, these were all little pieces she hadn't fully integrated.
It makes you think, doesn't it? What clues are we missing in our own stories?
It's a powerful question.
And this whole experience, being in the room, feeling the connection, it brings up the importance of actual presence in therapy too.
Oh, definitely. She has a really striking analogy, calling virtual therapy therapy with a condom on.
That's blunt, but it gets the point across.
It does. She argues that so much is lost when you're not physically in the same space. It's not just seeing faces on a screen.
It's the energy, the tiny nonverbal things.
Exactly. A foot shaking nervously, a tiny facial tic, the overall feel in the room. It helps the therapist really connect on a deeper, more intuitive level.
So her own therapy journey really changed how she saw her work and her patients.
Profoundly. And it's through her patient stories that we get even more layers of insight into this whole process of change and self-discovery. Their experiences really echo and expand on these themes.
Okay, let's meet some of them. Who's first? John.
John, yes. Initially described by Gottlieb as an asshole with spectacular teeth.
Okay, not holding back there.
No. He comes across as incredibly arrogant, blaming everyone else idiots for all his problems. Even Gottlieb at first, very defensive.
Seems like a tough nut to crack.
Extremely. But then there's this really interesting reveal about someone named Rosie.
Rosie.
Yeah, John goes on this rant about his 4-year-old daughter, Rosie, jumping on his laptop, peeing on the bed.
Oh, dear.
So Gottlieb naturally expresses some concern about his relationship with his child. Turns out Rosie isn't his daughter. Rosie is his dog.
His dog.
Seriously.
His dog. A rescue dog he describes as hideous and claims he doesn't even love.
But he talks about her like that and shows pictures. Beaming while showing pictures. It's fascinating. This guarded affection for the dog, it's like a little crack showing through. It hints at buried feelings he just can't express towards humans.
So the anger, the criticism, it's all a mask.
Seems like it. Masking deep loneliness, maybe a real terror of vulnerability. Gottlieb links it back, possibly to his mother dying when he was only 6, learning very early not to show weakness.
So how do you even start to get past defenses like that built up over decades?
Slowly, patiently. It often takes one specific moment. For John, after pushing back constantly, he finally says it.
Says what?
He says, yeah, I do act like an asshole, sometimes.
Sometimes. That little word seems huge there.
It's massive, because it breaks that black and white thinking. It's not, I am an asshole, it's I act like one sometimes. It opens the door just a crack.
Allows for nuance, for change.
Exactly. It's about embracing the sometimes in ourselves, isn't it? Seeing our flaws without letting them define us entirely.
That's a really valuable insight. And beneath all that, there was more pain, wasn't there? About his son.
Yes, incredibly heartbreaking. Unconscious grief for his son, Gabe, who died years earlier in a car accident.
Unconscious grief.
He wasn't really processing it. Gottlieb realizes his constant state of low-level pain and anger was actually how he kept his love for Gabe alive. It was his evidence of love.
Wow.
And his mind protected him further. He had trouble remembering the exact details of the accident, focusing on his own perceived fault, even though the distracting phone call that day was just a random wrong number.
The mind's defenses are powerful.
Incredibly. His pain was, in a way, keeping Gabe present, shielding him from the full, unbearable reality.
Let's move on to another patient. Julie, the cancer patient.
Right, Julie. A young woman facing a terminal diagnosis. Her story really brings home that welcome to Holland analogy.
Explain that one again.
It's like you plan your whole life for a dream trip to Italy, you buy the guidebooks, learn the language, but when the plane lands, the flight attendant says, "Welcome to Holland."
Not Italy.
Not Italy. And it's a shock. It's devastating. Holland isn't horrible. It's just different. It has windmills and tulips. But it's not Italy. You have to grieve the Italy you lost before you can appreciate Holland.
So Julie had to grieve the life she expected, the one without cancer.
Exactly. She was initially furious, understandably, but eventually she found a way to accept her Holland, her new reality, and even find moments of real joy within it.
That's profound, radical acceptance.
It is. When you stop fighting what is, you can sometimes find unexpected meaning right where you are.
And her story brought up bucket lists, too.
Yeah, Gottlieb reflects on bucket lists. Often she thinks they aren't just about avoiding regret, they're also a way to kind of ward off death itself.
How so?
By creating this illusion of more time. The longer the list, the more future you imagine you need to complete it. A very human way to try and control the uncontrollable.
And Julie didn't hold back her emotions in therapy.
Not at all. She was raw, screaming, fuck, 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 about the unfairness about her husband's future without her.
And Gottlieb's response.
She joined her in it. She didn't try to smooth it over. It showed that there's no hierarchy of pain. Your pain is yours. It's valid, no matter what someone else is going through.
That's important. Meeting people where they are with compassion.
For them and for ourselves, too.
Okay, who else? There was Rita, the older woman.
Yes, Rita. A senior citizen, deeply depressed when she started therapy. Her life was incredibly solitary. Almost everything she talked about seemed to conjure an image of death.
Living with a lot of regret.
Profound regret. Very little human contact, just isolated with her past choices.
And the tissue box thing, that was Rita, right?
Yes, a small but telling detail. Early on, she'd refuse a fresh tissue from the box Gottlieb offered.
Why?
She'd use this old, balled-up tissue from her purse instead. It was like she was clinging to her discomfort, her familiar misery.
And
Later, she starts accepting the fresh tissues. A tiny sign, but symbolic of being willing to let go of the old, worn-out pain. Just a little.
She sounds like she was really stuck.
Yeah.
In that stage, Erickson talks about, right, integrity versus despair.
Very much so. Stuck deep in despair. Looking back with dissatisfaction, regret. Joy just felt alien to her. Her whole world was filtered through loss and deficit.
And this connects to another patient's story about compassion versus forgiveness.
Dave?
Dave.
Right, Dave. His father was abusive, and on his deathbed, the father admitted he'd been awful, wished he'd been better.
How did Dave react?
His immediate gut reaction was, I don't forgive you. He couldn't offer that.
But something shifted.
Yeah. Later, he found himself feeling not forgiveness, but genuine compassion for his father, understanding the father's own likely pain and brokenness.
So it wasn't about absolving the father.
No, it was about Dave finding peace within himself through compassion. It highlights how sometimes self-compassion, understanding your own feelings and reactions, is more freeing than trying to force forgiveness or seeking it from others.
That's a powerful distinction. Compassion for self, maybe first.
It often is the harder but more valuable work.
This also ties into a really counterintuitive idea you mentioned earlier, that misery can sometimes feel protective.
Yes, it's a tough one to grasp sometimes. But for some people, like maybe Rita, staying in that familiar state of unhappiness can feel safer than risking change or facing deeper fears.
Like the fear of more disappointment or the unknown.
Exactly. Her misery was a known quantity, a predictable, if painful, homeland of regret. It kept her from having to engage with the world in a new way.
Our comfort zones aren't always comfortable, are they? Sometimes they're just familiar prisons.
Well put. It's about recognizing when that familiarity is actually holding you back.
Okay, let's circle back to Lori Gottlieb herself. Her own path wasn't exactly straightforward either. She started in Hollywood.
Right. Quite a shift. She was a Hollywood executive, seen as the smart one, but she found it, honestly, boring, unfulfilling.
So what sparked the change?
She started this sort of hobby shadowing doctors in the ER, just observing.
And that felt different.
Completely. She felt this pull towards the real stories, the raw human drama unfolding there, compared to the fictional ones she was working on. Something real and big and meaningful, as she put it.
So that led her towards medicine and then psychology.
Yes, a pretty major pivot, driven by a search for purpose.
And then came the happiness book paradox. That sounds intriguing.
It really was a turning point. She was actually under contract to write a book about happiness.
While feeling not happy.
While feeling deeply depressed, actually. And she had this huge realization. She wasn't actually searching for happiness. She was searching for meaning.
Different things.
Very different. And canceling that book contract, despite the financial hit, felt like freeing herself. Like taking off an albatross, she said. A major act of aligning with her truth.
That takes courage. And her path also involved her own health struggles. The medical mystery tour.
Yes, a really unsettling period of unexplained physical symptoms, going from doctor to doctor, getting vague diagnoses, or even suggestions of conversion disorder.
Which has that uncomfortable history, the whole wandering uterus idea, basically dismissing women's physical pain as purely psychological.
Exactly. She experienced firsthand that fear of being told it's all in your head, having your very real suffering invalidated. It really underscores that complex link between mind and body.
But amidst all that personal chaos, there was a bright spot, an unexpected connection. Sam, the UPS guy.
Yes, such a lovely human story. It started with her just trying to chat with him, delaying him for some adult conversation during her isolating days.
And it grew from there.
It did, into this really authentic connection based on mutual vulnerability. They both ended up supporting each other as they pursued new paths, her going back for psychology, him becoming a contractor.
That's amazing. And didn't he build her bookshelves?
He did. The bookshelves in her therapy office, a beautiful, tangible symbol of her whole journey, her transformation, and how these unexpected human connections can be so vital to our growth.
It all seems to weave together her journey, her patients' journeys, facing these deep human challenges.
It really does. It brings in those ultimate concerns that the existential therapist Irvin Yalom talked about.
Death, isolation, freedom, meaninglessness. The big ones.
The big ones. The deep anxieties we all grapple with, consciously or not. And Gottlieb's story and her patients show that facing these fears, not running from them, is often the path to a richer, more authentic life.
So it's not about eliminating fear or uncertainty.
No, it's about learning to relate to them differently. Gottlieb talks about learning to see uncertainty not just as scary, but as possibility.
That's a significant shift in perspective. So what's the takeaway for you listening to this?
It seems to be about accepting the messiness, right? Learning to live with challenges differently, maybe taking the sharp edges off those old pains, finding meaning even when things aren't perfect.
And understanding therapy itself differently, too. It's not a magic fix.
No, Gottlieb emphasizes it's structured around an ending, but the process is about building deep connections, building resilience that you carry with you.
Helping you hear your own questions more clearly. Who am I? What do I want? What's blocking me?
Exactly, those kinds of fundamental questions.
And it's a two-way street, isn't it? Therapists learn so much from their patients.
Immensely. Change is a joint effort. Wendell didn't save Gottlieb.
Right. She says he helped her save herself.
Which is key. No one can do the changing for you. But the right relationship can absolutely help you change yourself.
It really brings it back to the shared human condition. We all face stuff. Growth is ongoing, often messy.
It's not about becoming a totally different person, maybe. More like becoming more yourself, more open, less defined by the old stories.
Taking the sharp edges off.
Yeah. Living a life that feels more authentic, more possible.
So the final thought for you to ponder might be this. If you're willing to sit with your own discomfort, maybe question those old narratives you tell yourself, and embrace the complex reality of being human, what new possibilities might open up for you?
What Holland might you discover if you stop insisting on Italy?
A question worth exploring.